3D Movie Time Capsule
for 2014.
Welcome to a new Time Capsule podcast. This year's 2014. I'm Adolf. I have with me Jake.
Howdy, folks.
And 2014 is a special year because that is the year their website was founded. Unfortunately, this year is kind of we have a lot of movies to talk about, and a lot of them are bad.
Yeah.
Let's just get started. The first movie is Legend of Hercules. 2 Hercules movies this year. This is the first one. What do you think of this movie, Jake?
Ugh. This is easily the worst Hercules movie of the year.
Now, there's another one. It comes out way later in the year. We're going to try to go chronologically here, but we'll just include this at the same time because they're related. There's another Hercules movie just called Hercules with The Rock. How's that movie?
It's mediocre. It's saved by The Rock is basically playing The Rock as if he was Hercules, slightly bad, mostly good. He's just playing The Rock in a Grecian loincloth.
Do you remember the 3D aspect of either one of the movies or no?
Mediocre. If you're bored and can get them in 3D for under $5, I say go for it. Otherwise, they're going to be real expensive drink coasters.
This is not a must-have Rock movie in the Rock anthology of movies.
Nah. If you got to see The Rock in 3D, Rampage. Or, what is it? San Andreas. And then Jumanji is well worth hunting up in 3D.
Yeah, we could have a whole Rock playlist.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, he's becoming the king of 3D.
Alright, next up is The Nut Job, an animated movie about squirrels getting nuts. It's alright.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
It's set in the 1940s.
That's more than I remembered about it. To be honest, I don't remember how much I slept in the theater. I was a very bad babysitter. Luckily, no kids were killed in my presence.
So, yeah, this is an animated movie with the squirrels and animals, and there's like a nut shop, and they sneak in and have the little plan, and it's a kind of a cute kind of animated movie. I mean, 6 years later, I barely remember it.
Okay, Liam Neeson was one of the squirrels, right?
I believe so. Well, Will Arnett is in here, Brendan Fraser, Gabriel Iglesias, Liam Neeson, yeah.
Okay, then I am remembering the right movie, ever so slightly. I know, this is such a ringing endorsement. We can barely remember this movie.
I think I watched it at home. I don't think I watched it in 3D, so I don't remember anything about the 3D aspect.
I remember seeing it in the theater, and I also remember I woke up in the theater.
Alright, let's move on. I, Frankenstein. I heard bad things about this movie. I never seen it, though.
Ugh. Yeah, Aaron Eckhart. You might remember him as Two-Face in the Batman Nolan trilogy. He plays our titular Frankenstein. This is terrible. He gives it his all. I mean, it's gorgeous to look at. The 3D is actually pretty good sometimes, but it's just so dreary. And it's based on I think it's a Dark Horse comic book series. This is easily one of the worst movies of 2014.
Well, we got plenty more bad movies in 2014. Don't you fret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of the years that helped really kill 3D.
So this was kind of a flop, right? He didn't make that much money, like $76 million box office on a $65 million budget, which is not at all good.
Yeah, that then they probably made no money. It was a nice tax write off for somebody.
This came out in January, which is typically the time where really bad movies come out, where they're just there to dump them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. All right, let's keep going here. Let's go to a Chinese movie called The Monkey King.
Oh, this one's there was a whole slew of Monkey King things coming out. It came out, and this is a pretty good one. Decent 3D. Uh, Personally, I really enjoyed the 3D conversion of the animated 60s one that came out about the same time. Except I think it actually came out in the previous year, just slightly. Um, what I remember the most about this is the 3D was pretty good, and it's definitely something I need to revisit in the future.
I remember there being, yeah, like you said, a bunch of the Monkey King movies, and I remember there being an Americanized one that I really liked, but I don't remember the name. Do you know what that movie is or no?
Off the top of my head, no, but it's probably one of those things. If you refer to it as the Monkey King, people would think that's what you're talking about.
It's one with Jackie Chan and Jet Li in it.
It's probably the Monkey King.
The Forbidden Kingdom came out in 2008. That's one I really like.
Okay, huh? The name totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, it has Jet Li and Jackie Chan, so two of the biggest martial artists, actors of recent memory.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's keep going here to the Lego Movie. The first Lego movie I saw in a cheap dollar theater with my now wife, and we saw it because everyone was saying how good it was. And I remember saying, okay, this is just a commercial for Legos. I like Legos, but I don't need to see a whole movie for it. And it actually is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Yeah, this is incredible. This is how you do a product movie. This is an incredible movie. The 3D is amazing. This is well worth picking up in 3D if you have the capabilities to watch 3D movies. And these days, if you want to watch 3D movies, I suggest going the projector route, because it's probably a lot easier to get a projector than it is a TV, unfortunately. But back to the movie. It's awesome.
Yeah, that song is such an earworm. But then, like, the parts that are in the movie are really cute, but, like, the whole song is not good. It's just really weird. It just gets like to like this whole rap thing, and it's like, what?
Mhm.
This is not what I was thinking. I thought it was just like a cute pop music, but I don't know.
And and Will Arnett as Batman is incredible. He's like one of my favorite Batmans now. And Morgan Freeman makes his fourth appearance in a movie with Batman as a character. So that means he's the actor who's been in the most Batman movies.
So, I don't. I said it was awesome, but I don't really think it's awesome. I really do like it though. The surprise ending with I really liked, and I enjoyed it more than I thought. But I think I went to the theater because everyone was like saying how amazing it was, and if I didn't have any expectations, I think I would have enjoyed it more. But because the expectation game, but I still enjoyed it. I still think it's a really good movie. Now, on to a bad movie, which I haven't seen, but I've heard really bad things. The remake of RoboCop.
Ugh. This showed so much promise. Didn't see it in 3D. Um, there's some really good actors in this, but it just didn't have any of the energy that made the Paul Verhoeven RoboCop such an amazing movie. This is just tired, cliched. Uh, if you got to see an update of RoboCop, go see Upgrade instead. That's an amazing movie. Just skip this. It's not worth your time.
Now, RoboCop, it's kind of interesting looking back at that movie that somehow that movie was very, very politically charged, and it was much more satirical than people kind of thought going in. They thought it was just an action movie, like this version of the movie apparently is. That movie, the original movie, is a lot smarter, a lot more sharp, and really bloody. Like, damn bloody. And so Jake, would you buy the new RoboCop movie for $1?
No. I wouldn't rent it for $1. Ha ha ha.
You get that joke?
Oh, of course I get that joke.
I'd buy that for $1.
All right, let's keep going here. Pompeii.
Oh, God. Oh,
What's
God.
with 2014, Jake? Why is there so many of these like ancient movies coming out this year?
I don't know. And they all suck. Oh, God, this is horrible. This is one of those, I was like praying that the lava would come off the screen and burn me so it would put me out of my misery. Oh, God, this movie is wretched. Oh, God, it is miscast. It is a failure on every level. This is one of those movies you question why. And it's hard, and you're sitting here about 2 hours of your life has been stolen from you. And then you think, yeah, but the poor schmucks who made this movie, they lost months of their lives. So I guess you're even. You got revenge. But they got money for it, and you had to pay money. And then you feel depressed all again.
So this is based on the story of Pompeii, which is a lost city back in the ancient Roman days that were exploded because of a volcano. And we found this city, or not we, me and Jake, but humanity found this city of archaeologists, and it's very intact because of the volcanic ash.
Yeah, buried them, and they didn't even really know what a volcano was. So you can imagine how terrifying it was for them.
And their horrific deaths are forever remembered.
And this movie's pretty horrific too. It has a real crappy fictional love story, blah blah blah. It is one cliche after another. I'm like going, another one of these movies that exists because Lord of the Rings made money and Game of Thrones is popular. So they decided, oh, let's make Pompeii. And I'm like, I will say the effects in 3D look awesome. But it's not worth having to sit through this. If you can find this cheaply on disc, or somehow there you've got access to 3D rentals, just fast forward to the explosions. They're cool in 3D, but I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Okay, yeah.
So watching the movie is almost as bad as experiencing the death of a fiery volcano.
Yeah, I guess. It's something I don't want to experience, and this movie is also something I wish I hadn't experienced.
All right, moving from ancient Rome to nearby almost 300, the Rise of the Empire. I've watched the original 300 and I enjoyed it, but not this one.
I've seen it. I remember the 3D being pretty good. I just remember it just didn't have the energy of the first one. It was just kind of there. And I think this was such a jam-packed year, it kind of just got lost. Because I haven't seen this since 2014.
All right. Let's keep going here. We got an animated movie. A movie that I want to see, but I never saw, and I'm part of the problem because this movie flopped. Or it didn't flop. It just wasn't as big of a success as people thought. It's a DreamWorks movie. Peabody and Sherman, a time traveling dog and boy. I've wanted to see this, but never did. Jake, did you watch this?
I have not seen this yet. This is one. I don't remember why I didn't see this in theaters, but I mean, it is a spinoff of the Bullwinkle show, Sherman and Peabody. Uh, I just hope it's as good as its source material. It's something I would like to check out. I figure it was as good as its source material since the parents didn't flock and drag their kiddos.
Yeah, I never watched it, so let's keep going here. For Jake, do you have a Need for Speed?
Ah, yeah. Aaron Paul's Fast and Furious light movie. Actually, I saw this. I thought it was a pretty good conversion. And if you like Fast and Furious movies, you'll probably like this one too. I thought it had some decent car stuff. I mean, yeah, it has a few cliches. Has some really good performances and some good car scenes. If you watch Fast and Furious movies for the family, you're SOL in this. Even though family does play in the plot, this isn't a bunch of Corona ads, barbecues, and stuff like that. It's mostly just some scenery chewing and a whole bunch of car racing. And Dominic Cooper gives another good performance. This time as a villain.
How's the 3D?
It's good it's a good conversion.
I've played the Need for Speed games, and they're fun for what they are. It's one of those things that you imagine this should be more successful than it was, especially since the Fast and Furious movies have become such a big thing. You would think this would be a success too, but I guess not.
Yeah, I saw this in 3D on disc. I don't think this got a US 3D release.
Yeah.
It probably hurt it.
So, moving on, we got the next movie here. A movie that some people may find blasphemous. Noah. Oh, this is bad.
Yeah. This is definitely what the fuck material.
So, yeah, it's preachy, and usually I wouldn't mind, and I don't really disagree with the preachiness, but it just doesn't fit here, and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And it has so much and there's so many choices that are so head scratching. It's like, oh, we're going to take the literal Bible story, and instead of being literal about it, we're going to take kind of fringe science and what they consider these characters, if they existed, would have been. Oh, I can't even wrap my head around it. It's like they're trying to mix science and religion and don't understand what science or religion is.
Made some decent money, 300 million, but yeah, I knew how bad it was going in, and I watched it at home, and I was like, this is still bad. This is one of the worst movies. And yeah, it just...
It's really slow. It's tedious.
Oh yeah, it's so boring.
Uh-huh. And the performances aren't even interesting. It's like everybody gave up.
Yeah. Now, we've been through a lot of bad movies lately. Let's go on to a really great one. Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
Ooh. If I had to pick the greatest movie put in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this would be the one I would point to. I just think this is such an incredible movie. I think it really has its finger on the pulse about surveillance. and right and wrong. It is a lot. It just resonates with me in ways that the other Marvel movies don't.
It's a spy thriller, and it feels different from other movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's just so much fun.
Oh,
It's so interesting to
and the
watch.
cinematography is amazing, and it's even more amazing that they managed to take the uh, shallow depth focus of a '70s thriller and make it work in 2014 3D. It's just blew my socks off my feet. Amazeballs. Uh, yeah, the Russo brothers delivered in spades. Uh, yeah, this was if you haven't seen this in 3D, I highly recommend it.
Now, this movie is actually a lot of fun too because how it connected to the new then at the time Agents of Shield, and it like so perfectly connected and rebooted that TV show, and it was just like holy crap! I watched the episode Agents of Shield, and I watched this, and this is actually a lot of fun. And then the next episode of Agents of Shield was really cool. A wild Krista has joined us.
Hello.
So we're talking about good old fashioned Captain America, Winter Soldier. Do you watch that movie, Krista, or no?
No.
You missed out. That's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Winter Soldier is one of the best Marvel Cinematic movies, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely recommend that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great performances. It's a keeper.
So, Krista, the next movie we're going to talk about is Rio 2. Do you remember this movie?
I only watched part of it. I did not have the patience for the entire thing.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty.
I mean, I just didn't really care.
Yeah, the first one really didn't need a sequel. First of all, it wasn't that great, and they also pretty much told the story they were telling. And this is just kind of, oh, the first one made money, so we're going to cash in and make more money. And it just seemed like a rehash of the first movie, more or less.
So, I'm just looking at the plot synopsis. Apparently, the two macaws are now living in the Amazon, and they're trying to raise their children. And how they're like, oh, I used to be a city bird, kind of thing. I never watched it.
It's like, yeah, who cares?
Maybe this movie would have been successful enough to actually keep this species from going extinct in real life.
Yeah. So it's a bummer.
All right, let's keep going here. Let's talk about Transcendence. Now, I didn't know this was a 3D movie, but apparently in certain parts of the world it came out in 3D. This is an interesting movie, but it's also pretty boring.
Yeah, it's slow. This is something. If this was a 45-minute short, Wally Fight would be considered a genius. But the problem is, this is way too padded. The 3D is it's a pretty poor conversion. And the story is way too padded.
Krista, do you remember this movie?
Not at all.
This is starring your favorite actor, Johnny Depp, and he uses artificial intelligence to transcend beyond humanity, and it's an interesting concept, but it's just so boring.
It's an interesting concept, but from the way you're describing it, like, Isaac Asimov did it better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if this was a 45-minute short, people would be praising this. But they dragged it out way too long. They stretched it out way too far. And just didn't have enough, just couldn't support it, the length they made it.
All right, so let's keep going here to a Chinese movie, a martial arts Chinese movie, Iceman. What is this about, Jake?
Ooh, about 90 minutes too long. This is Donnie Yen at his worst. And it has a peeing gag that's even dumber than the one in the Ghost Rider sequel.
Oh, because it's Iceman and it's cold. I can guess what happens next.
Well, basically, this is a soldier who got frozen, then thaws out in modern Hong Kong, and hijinks of the most lowbrow slapstick comedy. This is just so embarrassingly bad. I mean, it's just a real. I mean, Wong Jing had more class in his comedies than this thing. It's just awful, awful, awful. This is the 2014 seems like everything was awesome or the worst of the worst. There wasn't much in between, and this is really, really bad. Just one of Donnie Yen's worst movies. Oh, I've already said that. I probably already talked more than this movie deserves.
All right, next up is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Krista, did you watch this?
No, I do think I have a story in regards to. I'm not sure if it's this one or the original Amazing Spider-Man, but the 3 was bad because they didn't listen to their stereographer and they put their stereographer in a corner and were like, "Don't tell us what to do," and just didn't listen to the stereographer. And they had like a very weird depth grading rule, which is not used in anywhere else, because like usually you want like 2% depth, 3% depth in a film, and they for some reason like made a rule that it was like only like 1.5% depth or something, and so it just all looked bad.
So this movie is very disappointing, to put it nicely. It has Gwen Stacy, Electro, Green Goblin, all fighting Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is obsessed with his story about who his parents really were, which is kind of a boring story. And the big emotional scene in the movie, it's a massive spoiler, but it's 6 years, so whatever, is the death of Gwen Stacy, and that death was actually really well shot and is almost perfectly comic accurate, and it works, but it just kind of, I don't know.
The context of it was just shoddy.
Yeah. And then Jamie Foxx as Electro, he was just bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they make him look like the ultimate one, and they give him, I don't know who in the hell. This is the type of shit they used to do in 60s and 70s movies about comic geeks and stuff. That Jamie Foxx played a stereotype.
And yeah, Krista, do you know how he got his powers of electricity?
No.
He was submerged into water with electric eels.
That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, usually you you let things go, but that time I was like, no, that's just stupid.
Yeah, that's worse than how Catwoman got her powers in the movie.
I actually do like Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn. There's actually a really nice scene with him talking to Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and then when he actually becomes a Green Goblin, I really didn't like it. It just, there's so, and then they tried to build up the whole Sinister Six at the end. Ugh.
Oh, they put enough stuff in here for 6 movies and developed nothing.
There was a cool scene with Electro and the 3D scene in the Times Square. That was pretty cool. But the rest of the movie, it just doesn't go anywhere. And it was such a failure that Sony gave up the rights to Spider-Man after this. And we have him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well,
so
more or less, yeah.
Okay, not only is it a bad movie, it is like one of, like, if you ever had like people say they hate 3D, it's probably because of this movie. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So let's keep going from a spider to a god or a Godzilla. All right, I'm trying really hard, but there's no way to segue this. Godzilla, the 2014 live-action movie, which I really like, but half the movie is kind of boring.
Yeah, it's not super exciting. And they criminally kill off Bryan Cranston too soon.
Yeah, he was so good in this.
I know.
You don't get to Godzilla until like an hour and a half in or something.
Yeah, so that's not that uncommon in certain Godzilla movies. But the 3D is it's dark and murky, so some of the 3D doesn't work very well.
I don't know how you could have 3D in that movie look good when everything is filmed in like super low lighting and like all to look super gritty and
Yeah.
That was a problem.
Mhm.
Krista, did you watch Godzilla?
not in its entirety. I've only seen parts of it.
So I still like the movie, even with its flaws.
Yeah.
Jake, what do you think?
Yeah. It's a decent Godzilla movie. I mean, only thing I was kind of ticked about is we're getting this American reboot, and we just had this Japanese reboot that was amazing. You know, Shin Godzilla, and that's all on hold because we got to let Warner Brothers do their 3 Godzilla movies. And I'm like, no.
Remember the 1998 Godzilla movie? God.
Oh God, I remember the 85 one. That one was pretty bad too. Yeah, Americans shouldn't be making Godzilla.
Is this the movie that they tried to use like a nuclear bomb to kill Godzilla or something like that?
That's what they do all of them, though.
Yeah.
But even though Godzilla himself is a metaphor for the nuclear bomb?
Yeah.
To be fair, this current Warner Brothers Godzilla movies are light years better than the other American versions of Godzilla movies. So I don't want to be one of these Godzilla fans that is such a nitpicker. These movies are so much better than the past ones that have been made. Heck, or even dubbed and trampled, scissored up the Japanese versions in the original series. These ones are actually pretty damn good, and they're made for American audiences. Even the new one with the family plot that irritated me to all hell and back, still worthwhile.
Yeah.
I like these. I mean, I'm trying not to nitpick too hard, but they're worthwhile seeing. And the 3D, even with its faults, is worth seeing.
Now, definitely, the next movie is definitely worth seeing. X-Men Days of Future Past. I really like this movie. One of the better, if not the best, X-Men movies. It's not the R-rated movie.
Yeah, this is one of the best X-Men movies ever made. And the 3D in this was really good.
Yeah. Krista, did you watch this or no?
Which X-Men movie is this?
Okay.
Days of Future Past. This is the one where Wolverine goes back into the past.
I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, so this one combines the new rebooted X-Men with the old 2000s X-Men. So combine the future and the past in a clever way. And how they have everything, it makes sense. And it was kind of a reboot of the whole X-Men franchise. And the scene with Quicksilver is just excellent. They how he ran so fast and played the song. It was just so good.
Yeah, Jim Croce's Time in a Bottle.
I mean, I love Quicksilver. I love all the Quicksilver scenes where, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can remember when people were worried about Evan Peters being as good as Eric Johnson didn't think he would be as good a Quicksilver as was in Age of Ultron. Anybody who's seen America Horror Story would know how that matchup was going to turn out. Just saying.
Quicksilver in Age of Ultron is crappy compared to the
Yeah,
X-Men.
he's not a bad actor. I mean, gave a really good performance in the first Godzilla movie. Segueing it back to Godzilla, sort of. But he just had nothing to do in Age of Ultron except die.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's like so OP, so overpowered that just like, why don't they just keep him around? He's so useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Future Past is really great. And then they actually later on they released the Rogue cut with scenes that were supposed to be with Rogue, which I actually really like. I think it's a really good update, and it has a couple extra scenes in there that came out on the Blu-ray. So yeah, definitely a thumbs up on that. Next up is Maleficent. Oh, Maleficent. I love the movie, I hate the movie at the same time.
I was like, eh.
Krista, what are your thoughts on this?
I've never seen it still. I need to watch it probably, but it's one of those. Do I really want to?
One of those that the 3D shows off Angelique Jolie's cheekbones.
So yeah, this is like a dark retelling of Sleeping Beauty, and it's okay. I rewatched it right before I watched the second movie last year, and it's okay. I like it. I don't hate it. It's fine. It was part of the whole trying to have your dark Disney remakes before they're, and make it different instead of just copy and pasting it like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast were, basically. They're trying to mix it up with this one. I give them credit. Let's keep going here. Now we got a movie here, Jake, that has a different title depending on when you watched it. Okay, it's called Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. But sometimes it's also called Live, Die, Repeat. And sometimes it's also called Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, man! Yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
Oh, that's confusing as hell. See, I thought that the title was Edge of Tomorrow and that Live, Die, Repeat was the, tagline.
It was, and then they were trying to make it more... they're trying to spin it to make it sense to the movie. It's like a video game with Tom Cruise, and there's like an alien invasion, and they're trying to fight the aliens, and then he dies, but then he gets resurrected at the last, because there's like a time paradox in there. So he gets resurrected, and he remembers what happens in each of the time loops. So he dies, he repeats it, and then he learns. And then each step of the way, the time loop, which is like maybe 10, 15 minutes long. There's like 5 of them loops or something. And eventually you get to the, ending of the time loop is broken. I didn't like this movie. I know a lot of people love it, but I was not a big fan.
There's an episode of the Librarians that is basically a guy trapped in a video game, and they did that concept so well. I have no faith in any other interpretation of that because I think the Librarians did it better than Edge of Tomorrow.
Well, Star Trek's done this a ton of times, and for most of the times I really enjoy those episodes. Jake, what are your thoughts on this?
I really enjoyed this movie, Edge of Tomorrow. Of course, everybody calls it Live, Die, Repeat. I guess that because the ad seemed to have oversold the movie. I thought the 3D was really good. Of course, this concept was done perfectly in Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm. I love Groundhog Day things as a trope in general, but there is a lot of variation in whether it's done well or not.
this movie is going to come down to, I think, working for people is whether they can deal with Tom Cruise being the jerk character that is redeemed by the strong, capable woman trope that seems to run in so many of his movies.
Now, for me, I liked the concept of the movie. I liked a lot of aspects of the movie, but I just got tired of the repeat part of it where it's like, okay, cool. After like 30 minutes of it, I was like, all right, I get it. Let's just keep it going. And I was ready to end it early. And I mean, that's just for me, though. I've seen this so many times done better in Star Trek.
One of my favorite films is a German film like called Run Lola Run, which is basically like she repeats the same thing 3 different times, except it is significantly different every time she repeats it. It's not like the same thing over and over again. Like, significantly different things happen due to slightly different changes in what she does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep going here to the first movie that we did on this website and that I wrote the review for, and I love this movie, How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, for me, I watched this movie and I was like, okay, the 3D is great. That's easy for me. The movie is great. And I was like, okay, am I really going to give the first movie a review of 10? I don't want to do that, but I love this movie. And, you know, now thinking back, I probably could have been happy with a 9, but still, this is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Krista, you watched it?
Oh, yeah. I never saw it in 3D, though, but I would like to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, this is, well worth the trouble of seeing in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie has just an emotional scene that resonates so well with the mom and how Toothless finds the mom of Hiccup. And it just works so well. The villain is a little bit weak, but still, I really love How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Mm-hmm. That whole series is just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep going here to a series that is not incredible. Transformers: Age of Extinction. Woof.
Ugh.
Krista, did you watch this?
Nope.
To be brutally honest, I couldn't tell you one Transformers movie from another. They just, I've seen them because they're just part of the cultural zeitgeist, and I need to get better friends.
I genuinely have no interest in watching any Transformers, to be honest.
You're not missing anything except Bumblebee. Yeah, this piece of garbage got a 3D Blu-ray release. Where in the hell is Bumblebee? I would love to rewatch that in 3D.
All right, so this movie here is kind of a reboot sequel with Mark Wahlberg being the main protagonist, and I liked it. I didn't love it. I gave it a 6, I think it was, for what it was. It was entertaining action. The last third of the movie is set in China as blatant China bait to try to get people in China excited for this movie. And then the dinosaurs that's part of this movie is basically 1 or 2 shots and that's it. So, I've seen worse Transformers movies.
I'm trying to figure out if my professor worked on this movie, because he's worked on one of the more recent Transformers, but I don't know if he worked on this one.
Yeah, it was this one, and the one after this is the last Transformers movie before Bumblebee, which is The Last Night, which I liked about the same as this. You know, The Last Night was actually recorded in 3D, and this is mostly filmed in 3D, and it does look great in 3D. The action is, I mean, if you can't make sense of it, but it looks great. Looks
Ah.
great.
So turn the sound off and just let the visuals wash over you. You're saying?
Yeah, this was an easy great 3D. So let's keep going here to another movie here. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the first in the new Planet of the Apes trilogy. I love this trilogy. Krista, have you seen this movie?
Nope.
Oh.
No, this is worth seeing whether it's 2D or 3D. This new Apes trilogy. Yeah, I'm a big Apes fan. The original series. I even seen that horrible TV show and the even worse animated series. And this new version is incredible.
My professor did work on this one.
This is with Andy Serkis helping out, and it's so heartfelt. It's so emotional, and it's such a really great story. Now, the only problem with these Apes movies is that the movie titles are kind of weird. This is Dawn, and then next is Rising. So it's kind of a weird title, but still, this one, one of my favorite performances of just everyone in the cast. Specifically, I really, really like what's his name? Oh, my brain doesn't work right now. James Franco. Franco's great in this. Jake, what are your thoughts? Did you watch this in 3D?
Yeah, I just remember just really liking the 3D, and was just hoping that this wasn't gonna misfire like the Tim Burton reboot, even though it was having that same feel and vibe, but it didn't derail. It just kept moving on forward, and it was a really good movie, and I was really getting into it and enjoying where it was going. And this old Apes fan was extremely happy with what they got.
This has a 91% in Rotten Tomatoes, and it's very believable, and it's very like you really have a lot of compassion for the apes in this movie, and it really gets so much out of this movie. I love these apes movies. So
they didn't just simply remake the original series, and they just kind of went back to the drawing board. Took inspiration from the original books and just updated with more modern technology and stuff.
And this is how you do a reboot of old franchise.
Yeah, and it's proof positive. You can breathe new life into an old franchise and not piss off fans of the look. Some fans of the original you're never going to make happy, but do something good, and old fans will appreciate it, and you'll make a whole bunch of new fans. And this, I mean, this I thought was even a better reboot than what was done with Star Trek, and I enjoyed that reboot.
Yeah, this is a great movie. Andy Serkis as Caesar, he deserves an Oscar for his motion capture work. It's just so great.
Yeah. Him, and there's a few other guys that do some great capture work. I can see within probably the next few years, capture acting start becoming a category in certain award shows.
All right, let's keep going here to Planes, Fire and Rescue, the Planes sequel. Jake, I didn't watch this. What do you think?
I saw it. It's fine. Look, after Cars 2, any spinoff in this universe is a step up. This is basically the planes all become rescue firefighters, and this is a little more serious than the first Planes movie, which is pretty much a variation of the first Cars movie without much weight to it. I mean, this is fine. It's not worth the hassle and trouble that you're going to have to go through to see this in 3D. But if you go through that trouble to see this in 3D, you're going to enjoy it. It's pleasant. It's enjoyable. It's not earth shattering. It's not great. It's above mediocre.
Okay, so let's keep going here. We already talked about Hercules. Let's talk about the white-haired witch of Lunar Kingdom. I don't know anything about this, Jake.
This is a story that's been filmed many times in Hong Kong cinema. It is most well known for the 80s version with Leslie Chung and Bridget Lin. They were smart enough at the end to use Leslie Chung's theme song for this version. It's okay. They didn't crap on the beloved 80s version, but they didn't really bring anything new to the table other than adequate 3D. If you've never seen any other version of The Bride with White Hair, you'll probably really enjoy this. And if you have seen the 80s version or any of the other versions, you'll go, oh, that wasn't bad. It's pretty good. It has modern Hong Kong pop singers in most of the roles. A lot of these kids, I'm not familiar with them outside of this movie, so I can't. Hell, a lot of them I've never seen in anything else because I don't watch that many of the modern Hong Kong movies because I just don't really care for the actors. But this one is the 3D is like I said is pretty good. They follow most of the beats from the original, except they pad out the story longer and add some more conflicts and some attempts of characterization of background characters. But some of it works, some of it doesn't. The chemistry isn't nearly as strong between the actors in this version. Of course, they're much closer in age because that was probably the biggest flaw in the 80s version is the characters were 20 years the actors were 20 years older than their characters.
Okay, now going from that, let's go to one of the more popular Marvel Cinematic movies. Now, Jake, this is interesting because I remember way back in the day, me and James were kind of not sure about this movie because the comic was not super popular, and these characters are not well known, and we were worried that this was going to be a flop, but we were wrong. Guardians of the Galaxy is great. It works so well. It doesn't make any sense when you look at it, like a talking raccoon and a talking tree, but it works so well on screen. Chemistry, Chris Pratt, it's so funny, it's so well done. Krista, have you watched this?
No, I haven't.
Jake, I love this movie. What do you think?
Oh, I love this movie too. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. The older stuff by Arnold Drake. I wasn't that familiar with the later versions by A and B, which is the basis for most of this version of the series. I just thought they cast this beautifully. James Gunn just knocked it out of the park. Because this is what I want out of a Fast and Furious movie and didn't get out of the one I watched. Because this to me is how you show how people become a family. And Lee Pace was incredible as Ronan the Accuser. He just plays such a good dirtbags.
Well, I kind of think Ronan was kind of corny, but I get that was kind of the joke, so.
Yeah, exactly. That was him and Drax were kind of almost like two peas in a pod. You know, like when he said, "Oh, nothing goes over my head. I can catch it." I mean, they both were these both literal minded, and I just thought Lee Pace just knocked it out of the park.
And Guardians of the Galaxy is actually one of the films that actually manages to use pop music well in like a not haphazard way. Like the pop music is actually an element of character development, which is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's keep going here to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Michael Bay live action. Oh, I saw this. I didn't see it. I saw the trailers and I was like, nope, I'm not reviewing that. So we didn't review it. Jake, did you watch this movie?
Yeah, but I don't really remember it other than it was 3D and ugly looking.
Krista, do you remember this?
I don't know whether it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I saw or not, to be honest.
All right, let's move on then. Let's keep going. Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. I liked the first Sin City. I think the visuals were amazing. I think the storytelling was cool. I liked some of the stories, not all the stories. How was the sequel, Jake?
More or less similar to it wasn't like any out of the park stories like the first one. I just remember the 3D was nice. It was nice. It just wasn't groundbreaking. It was just kind of more of the same except some 3D.
Krista, assuming that you didn't watch this?
No.
Okay, let's keep going here to a Leica animated movie, The Box Trolls. Now, I feel like this movie was very disappointing. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I was happy enough with it. I mean, a bad Leica movie is still better than most movies, but it just doesn't see it. I just don't have the interest in this and to the other Leica movies. I didn't really care much about an orphan raised by trolls.
I
Felt very
didn't even know this was a Leica movie just because it doesn't seem like on brand with the kinds of movies that Leica makes.
Yeah, this seemed to be underdeveloped. It was very padded.
Did you watch this, Krista?
No.
I remember the 3D being really bad here. Like, it should have been so much better than it was, and it just not being right. Like, it just didn't work.
Oh, that's weird. Because Leica makes a lot of good 3D.
Yeah, I don't know if it was my theater or what, but I felt like the 3D here was just, like, so basic, barely there, not really even worth anything. Jake, do you concur or no?
Well, here they would have riots since Leica's kind of the hometown studio. If they didn't screen these pristine, they would hear holy hell. So, yeah, I thought the 3D wasn't as good as other Leica projects, but it was adequate in the theater I saw it in. But then again, here, like I said, they take care with these because there's a little pride with the home team.
So, let's keep going here to The Book of Life. The Book of Life is actually a really great movie that kind of got lumped together with eventually Coco, but it's a very different movie from Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's really good, and the 3D is great.
Yeah. Krista, you watched this one?
This is one that I really want to watch because I hear the 3D is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is well worth seeking out.
It's like an untraditional love story, and like the art here is really interesting. It's different than what you expect, and it feels like they really have, they still have the same kind of idea with Coco about the afterlife being Dia de los Muertos, but it's a very different movie. And I watched this twice in the theaters. I took my mom and my wife to the second viewing in 3D, and it's just like, this is so cool. It's so funny. It's so well animated. It's a delight, and it's a really good story.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was a huge part of the original inspiration for Coco.
Oh yeah. Coco. If this movie hadn't come out and created a buzz, I don't think Coco would have happened. Probably.
Well, you know how sometimes a lot of movies, especially animated movies, they make them and they have similar themes and similar ideas, and this is, kind of like that where,
Yeah. Kind of like Ants in a Bug's Life.
yeah,
Except that Ants was crap.
I don't like Bugs Life either, so I kind of like Ants more than Bugs Life, but barely. But it's been forever since I've seen those movies, so I don't know which one holds up. It just bothered me so much in Bugs Life that they weren't like 6 actual legs.
Oh, that they walked on 2 legs.
Well, no, they had 4 legs instead of 6. That they just weren't atomically correct. And it's like, what? That shouldn't be that hard to do. But whatever.
Well, I got over it. Just
I mean,
Like,
I
I
like
was-
A Bug's Life for its narrative reasons, not for its scientifically accurate reasons, because it's not.
it took me a while to get over when I first noticed that when I was little that most cartoon characters only had 4 fingers. It took me a while to get over that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was one of those kids. Does anal retentive have a hyphen?
All right, so let's keep going here to Big Hero 6. Now, this movie has a big audience. I don't love it. I think it's fine. I like it. I just,
Yeah, this is kind of the weird Marvel Disney movie that I like it fine. It's not one of my favorites.
It's
I think that
actually,
movies-
it has a very interesting robot character that not a lot of robot characters are actually that successful in being robots.
Yeah, this is one that I couldn't believe didn't get a US 3D release, like Frozen.
This is like, I feel like from what I hear is like a lot of people like it, but it doesn't really, like, it didn't capture the cultural zeitgeist. Like, people kind of forgot about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of it was, I think this got really negative impacted by not having a 3D home video release. Because this is one of these movies that built an audience on home video, and there wasn't a 3D version to help fuel that.
I actually remember watching this in 3D, but it was like in the cheap theaters, and it was fine. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It was okay. Kristen, have you saw this movie or no?
Not entirely, no.
Okay. It's just like a 7 out of 10 kind of movie where it's just like, it's not that great, but it's not that terrible either. It should be
It's
better.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
To me, it was fine.
All right, let's keep going here to a movie that was only in 3D in China, The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1.
That's weird.
Do you remember this movie, Krista?
Yeah.
What'd you think of this movie?
I mean, I'm not big on the Hunger Games myself.
Jake, did you watch this or no?
No, I liked Hunger Games better when it was known as Battle Royale.
What?
Oh, Hunger Games is. There's a lot of people, and I'm kind of agree with them, that the Hunger Games books are really borrow liberally from a Japanese book. The English name is Battle Royale, where kids are forced to kill each other. And that's how they punish wrongdoers in the future. And they take them to an island, and they each give them a weapon, and they've got so many days until there's one person standing.
The only thing that the legacy of the Hunger Games has given me is Hunger Games Simulator, where you can put like random character names and have them battle to the death, and that's fun.
Yeah.
This movie is actually kind of interesting because some protesters in Thailand were started using the Hunger Games three-finger salute. And they kind of, that was interesting. And that was also something that was in the Ferguson protest. So, people really seem to enjoy these movies. I like them. And they kind of blend in together because it's just like one story that's like 5 hours long, because it's 4 movies that were just like a lot of stuff going on. So let's keep going here to the Penguins of Madagascar. This is a spin-off from Madagascar movie. This was okay.
This was when I was beyond the age of being interested in the Madagascar franchise anymore.
Yeah, what I remember mostly about this is the 3D was good, the character designs were good, and I just remember this movie being pretty padded.
If I remember correctly, I think the Penguins of Madagascar had a TV show after the Madagascar films.
It did.
Yeah.
So, to me, this was already like a dead horse.
Yeah, they were turning this into Minions.
But the Penguins of Madagascar are kind of fun, characters. They're scheming, and they have their little, plots and their characters. And I liked this movie. I didn't love it. I barely remember it.
They're like James Bond knockoffs as animals.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that original or interesting once you get past the... Like, this is another case of the side characters being brought in to be a main character. And it doesn't work.
Yeah, if you gotta watch Feathered Fowl is a Spies in Disguise is a lot better.
Okay, so next up is a religious movie. Another religious movie. Oh my god, this movie. I hate this movie so much. Exodus, Gods and Kings. Krista, did you watch this?
Mm-mm.
Thank God you didn't, because it's not worth your time. Jake, did you watch this?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god.
I still feel like I need to get revenge.
How can any Exodus movie, like what is even the point of making Exodus movies at this point when there is already the perfect Exodus movie in Prince of Egypt?
So, yeah, this movie, Krista, has Moses debating God in this movie about the strategy of leaving, and God is a bratty 10-year-old boy, and that you just want to slap.
Oh my god!
Am I wrong, Jake?
No. This movie is the perfect double feature with Gods of Egypt.
Another turd.
That sounds so bad.
I would watch Pompeii or I, Frankenstein before I would watch this again. But I wouldn't watch Noah again. If I had the choice between I had to watch one of these, Noah, or this again, I think I would choose jumping off a bridge.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is truly dreadful. I actually asked Miss Kristen to watch this because I could not stand watching this by myself, and I had to have someone to talk to, because when you give a movie a 2 out of 10, you have so much to talk about. And the 3D was terrible. Oh, Jake, is my 2 out of 10 too harsh on this, or no?
Nah. I would give it between a 3 and a 2 from what I remember. I can't see why I would give this a better grade than I did for God, now it's slipping the brain, the one I gave a 4 to. Wrinkle in Time. Wrinkle in Time is a masterpiece compared to this. Of course, even Geostorm is a masterpiece compared to this.
So yeah, this is just so boring.
And it's just so misguided.
Yeah.
Were they laundering money or something? I mean, some movies you start wondering if they were made to launder money.
The part where they're escaping from they part the river, the Jordan, I think it is, right? And then that looked really cool, but the rest of the movie was just kind of meh. Just a drag, and I felt like the character of God in this is just so angry. It just makes me so mad. It's like, all right, first, you don't really have to have a physical presentation of God. You could have God just be a voice, but the fact that they put him as a 10-year-old brat, I just hate him so much.
I mean, I feel like there's a scenario in which that could work, but you have to be extremely careful with that.
Yeah. But this suffers the same fate as like Gods of Egypt. They just make these random things, and they just assume you are gonna figure out their thought processes. No explanation. They just do things, and they're completely inexplicable.
So I'm reading through my review, and they actually have the Moses character get married in this, and like the honeymoon scene, I thought was very not tasteful, and I felt like it just cringe, and I hated it so much. And this character was basically introduced just to have a wife, and she did not do anything for the story. Do you remember that scene, Jake, or no?
No, it sounds like they're trying to troll the PureFlix audience.
This is also another movie about Egyptians that is white people.
Yeah. Yeah, most of these Christian themed movies, they just cast just all whites. Yeah, looking at you, Noah, as well.
And I remember this also having a question: is Moses actually seeing God or not? Because it kept like kind of playing around the idea that he's just seeing things and no one really sees it. And just like, you're either going to have God in the movie or not. You know, you can't have it both ways and say, oh, you know, Moses doesn't know what he's talking about, and then this miracle happens, and it's just like, what are you doing, movie?
If you're going to make a religious movie, the smart play is to at least assume it's true. It's real. Treat it like it's real, because the people who don't believe are going to avoid it like the plague, and so your only audience left are believers. So at least try to appease your audience. Just say it.
Yeah, and Moses is so not likable and has no confidence, no leadership, no vision, and he just has no charisma here. And just like, this is the main character of this movie, and I hate his guts. And I really do like this actor, Chris Batman.
Chris Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That's just a massive miscast.
Oh, and the thing is, the editing did no favors for anybody. I mean, there was nothing. This movie just seemed, it's like whatever the good choice was, they would pick the worst possible choice. And I imagine that went to when they were assembling this, to which take to use. It's like, we have to use the most boring possible delivery of this line.
Yeah. So this is actually the last line of my review. Please avoid this movie at all costs, because this abomination on film is not worthy of your time. 2 out of 10.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I still feel that anger in my spirit. I was like, okay, this is 6 years later. I still hate this movie. So yeah, we have one more movie here. The Hobbits, the Battle of the Five Armies. Jake, did you watch this movie?
Yeah, all the Hobbit movies just kind of all blend together because they're just one big old movie that overly pads out the Hobbit. If you can let go of the Hobbit and just kind of think, because face it, this series exists because the Lord of the Rings just did so well. They just Peter Jackson got to make The Hobbit into 3 movies and add a bunch of other Tolkien stuff to it. And the 3D is amazing, like always, but this is so padded.
And this is the final Hobbit movie.
Mhm.
So, just in case anyone doesn't remember which one goes where, this is the third one.
Yeah, this is this looked incredible and high a frame rate. Of course, it was only I haven't seen anything in the super high rate, so I don't know if it looks fake and plastic. I can only speak to what I've actually seen in the 40 high frame rate in 3D. To me, it just looked really, really nice, because you have to have more light, and then it doesn't get too bright because the high frame rate sucks it up. In the 3D, they just are two great things that just go together, I think, and I feel. But again, I haven't seen the super high frame rate that Gemini Man was filmed in, because even when I went to see Gemini Man, they had showed it in a lower frame rate at my theater.
Yeah, the high frame rate thing is like the reason. I feel like a large reason of why people don't like it is just because they're not used to it, and for no other reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Krista, did you watch this, Krista?
No.
So, yeah, The Hobbit. I gave up on The Hobbit. It was sad because I watched all 3 of the Lord of the Rings movies in theaters, and I really enjoyed them. And The Hobbit, I was like, nah, they're milking this.
Yeah.
And they made a ton of money, so they're happy. It made almost $1 billion.
Yeah. I mean, I saw them. And someday I will pick them up on the Hobbit ones on disc, like I did the Lord of the Rings. I just hadn't because finances. But
when they switched to doing like native 3D, they learned that some of their special effects that worked in 2D did not work in 3D, and they had to rework their special effects to work differently. Because it used to be the case that like when they have like a small person and like a big person, the way they would do that was like through forcing the perspective, where like they were both sitting in the same space, but one was sitting further back than the other, so it looked like they were smaller, and they forced the perspective so it looked like they were sitting on the same line, even though one was sitting further back. But in 3D, you cannot do that, because because of the multiple perspectives, you can tell that they are not sitting next to each other.
yeah, they're kind of doing that a little bit, except not to change size. But on a lot of TV they're shooting right now because of COVID, they're having the actors stand apart, but they're changing their perspective they're shooting in makes it look like they're standing next to each other.
Okay, so going on to 2014, what do you think was the best movie of 2014, Jake?
That's a tough one. I would have to go with the Winter Soldier.
And I think I will keep it with How to Train Your Dragon 2. Krista?
I agree. How to Train Your Dragon too.
Worst movie? Jesus Christ.
Oh, this is tough. There's so many.
Alright, I'm gonna definitely say Exodus was horrible and it was the worst movie I watched in 2014.
Oh, I think I'm going to give it to Pompeii.
Yeah.
Because they teased me with that beautiful volcano, and and it wasn't enough to suffer through everything else.
Krista, do you have a worst movie?
I haven't seen a lot of these movies, so it's hard to say.
Alright, I guess would you give it to Rio 2 then, since
Yeah, I mean, I'm
It's
pretty
worth it.
sure from the sound of it, Exodus is worse.
Alright, best superhero movie. I think that's easy. Captain America Winter Soldier.
Oh, I'm going to give it to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. No love for Spider-Man.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Best sequel. That's hard. Between Captain America and Dragon 2.
Oh, I'm gonna give it to Dragon 2.
Yeah.
Feel like uh, Dragon 2 needs some love from me.
Okay, best new original movie. I guess I'll give it to Lego Movie because I was expecting that.
Yeah, the Lego Movie definitely.
Krista, do you have any fight in that?
No.
So yeah, 2014. There's a lot of bad movies here. A lot of bad movies here, and this is the year the website was founded. And after Dragon 2, I reviewed most of these movies, so those reviews are still up. But it's interesting to see how things have changed in 6 years, and it's kind of a nice little to go back in time and remember these movies.
It's kind of sad that 3D is dying just as 3D has finally figured its shit out.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you look back on, like, this, looking back in the time capsule, like, you see, like, besides How to Train Your Dragon, a lot of people didn't know how to use 3D in a creative storytelling manner, and were just using it as a gimmicky get butts in seats manner.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best for me reboot, I guess, would be Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think that was an excellent reboot to the Apes franchise.
Yep, definitely.
I mean, kind of, sort of, you could say X-Men Days of Past, Future Past, was a reboot of the other X-Men movies. Because that's what ended up happening there, but not really.
Yeah, kind of. It was a soft reboot, but First Class, even though it was a prequel, was to me the harder reboot.
And our expectations were changed with Guardians of the Galaxy being, way better than anyone thought it was going to be.
Oh, everybody was expecting this to be the first Marvel flop. There were columns written that, because very few people in the mainstream really were familiar with James Gunn. And a lot of the people that were familiar with him thought he was just too rough around the edges to work with Disney. And it was a smashing success financially and artistically.
I mean, that's another reason. That's one of the things that actually is strong about superhero movies is there is so much source material. Like, there are so many characters we haven't even begin to try to touch in film that are from comics. So because there is so much source material, there is a lot that can be done in superhero movies that is original, or at least somewhat original compared to what people don't like about superhero movies is the Spider-Man type of things where it's like not all has been rehashed so many times. It's like, what are you bringing to the table by giving us a new Spider-Man?
Yeah, we've seen Uncle Ben die enough times. And in the Batman movies, we've seen the Waynes die enough times.
Yeah. We didn't talk about Step Up, which, I mean, neither one of us watched it. Krista, did you watch Step Up? All in?
No.
Krista, did you ever watch Mr. Peabody and Sherman?
Nope.
Apparently Lucy came out in 3D in China, which a lot of people hate that movie. I thought it was fun for what it was. Do you remember Lucy, Krista?
No, what is that?
It starring Scarlett Johansson, and in this movie, she learns to access 100% of her brain. And
yeah, basically, this movie exists because Marvel hadn't got around to making a Black Widow movie yet.
Yeah. Once you start using 100% of your brain, you get telepathy, telekinesis, time travel abilities, and such, and an ability to hack any computer. So she becomes this immortal and super being.
Yeah, it's like that movie Unlimited.
Because, like we said, she used 100% of the brain. Us mere mortals only used a fraction. Oh, such bad cliche that just doesn't go away. we use 100% of her brain, 100%, we just use different parts.
It's a very scientifically inaccurate misconception.
It's kind of transcendence, but all action sequences.
Yeah, she's pretty badass in that movie. So, yeah, that's 2014. That's going to wrap up this time capsule. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Before this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Kano3D and Mr. Bengal 5 for your financial support on patreon.com. So that's going to be it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Links are in the info box. If you want to send us listener mail, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.